Hey everybody, welcome to our 3 o'clock program for today. My name's Angie and I'm an interpreter for California State Parks, and I'm at Humboldt Lagoons State Park, and I'm going to be doing a really interesting interview and video today that involves joining some of our environmental scientists, our wildlife biologists, to go on a survey for some fragile, really cute beach birds called the snowy plovers. I've done a video about them in the past, so if you haven't seen that yet, go ahead and check it out. It's in our videos tab on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel, North Coast Redwoods. And I'm really excited to introduce to you all Keith Slauson, who's a wildlife biologist for California State Parks up here in the North Coast Redwoods District. We're going to do a brief interview, and then we're actually going to join them out on the survey in the field to see if we can find some plovers. All right, everybody, so this is my friend and colleague, Keith, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what we're doing here today. But first, Keith, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Keith Slauson. I'm the wildlife program leader here at the North Coast Redwood District of California State Parks.
Awesome, and of course, we're out here to learn and research a little bit about our snowy plovers. So do you wanna tell our audience what snowy plovers are?
Sure, snowy plovers are a small shorebird that spend their entire year living on our beaches here in California. They forage on the wave slope for small invertebrates and other types of insects, and then they nest along these same beaches as well.
Awesome. And are they like a fairly fragile species, or how are they doing?
They're not doing very well. They're federally threatened, and their populations have been in slight decline or fairly stable over the last decade or so. The biggest issue for them is being able to nest and have their chicks survive. And there's a lot of ways in which we influence the survival of their chicks, both directly and indirectly, by our use of the beaches.
Awesome. We'll get more into that later. I've heard there's a fairly legendary snowy plover individual that lives in our neck of the woods, and I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, sure. The oldest known snowy plover, whose band combination is orange-red, yellow-red. So on his left leg, he has an orange band over a red band. And then on his right leg, he has a yellow band over a red band. He's 20 years old this year, and that's just the longest known living individual that we're aware of.
Whoa. So what's the average lifespan of a snowy plover?
That's a good question. It's not really well known, but I think 5 years or so is a good lifespan for a wild plover.
Okay, so he's pretty, like I said, pretty legendary.
Right.
Maybe we'll see him today. So why don't you tell us what we're doing here at Humboldt Lagoons / Big Lagoon today?
Yeah, so this is one of our breeding season surveys. We walk the beaches and scan for plovers that are actively nesting. And then when we do find nests, we put up these plover protection area that includes ropes and signage to give the plovers a bit of a sacred space to keep people and their pets out of those, so they can successfully nest and raise their young.
Awesome. So I would love for you to maybe introduce some of the tools that you're going to use to monitor our plovers today. So what kind of stuff do you bring out with you?
Sure, we use a couple of different optics. Of course, binoculars are the basic tool we use. And then we have spotting scopes. There's one right over here.
Okay.
And those just allow us to look for much farther distances and be able to zoom in on those small, tiny bands that are on their feet.
Awesome.
On their legs.
And okay, a couple more questions. Here, let's go back over this way. Why is monitoring this species or any species in the North Coast Redwoods District important?
Yeah, so species that are listed as threatened or endangered, either at the state or federal level, they do this because their populations have been in decline or are much smaller and at risk from loss or extirpation. So we tailor our monitoring efforts to be able to see how many animals we have and then how they're doing, and then to influence our management so we can improve their populations and the trends in those populations.
Yeah, so that's a lot of what we do here at California State Parks, right? So I hope this is a really good look at what a lot of our work looks like for our audience. So, big question, and this will be our final one. What can visitors do if you're visiting our local beaches or visiting the North Coast Redwoods District do to help protect plovers?
Yeah, so really paying attention to the signage at every particular beach that you might go to. Keeping your dogs on leashes and out of the nesting habitat areas, especially if there's the plover protection signage and ropes. Also keeping all of your food scraps contained and taking them away from the beaches. The main predator for nesting plovers, both their eggs and chicks, are common ravens. And ravens are really attracted to what we do, and if we're on the beaches leaving a lot of food scraps, then we attract them to the same places where the plovers are trying to nest.
All right, well, thanks so much for that information, Keith. Let's go ahead and get our survey started and show our audience what that looks like.
All right, let's do it.
How is this going to go? Give us a brief summary.
Yeah, so we walk at a kind of normal pace and scan every 50 to 100 meters ahead of us. The snowy plovers are very cryptic with their plumage and they blend into the sand, so they aren't seen by predators. That makes them difficult to detect sometimes.
All right, so we're going to use our binoculars and our spotting scopes eventually and start walking down the beach.
Every 20 minutes we take point count, so we take the data for how many people we see, how many dogs we see on the beach, how many predators we see like ravens or birds of prey, and we do that every 20 minutes as we go down the beach, and that kind of gives us an overview of what's going on every survey.
Great, so you're not just monitoring plovers, you're also monitoring humans and pets.
True. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, part of the problem is a human problem too, right? So it's good to get all aspects of it.
Out by itself, kind of behind those four patches.
All right, everybody, it looks like Ryan and Keith actually spotted 2 plovers just up ahead. We're right near our symbolic fencing, which is just behind me. It's a bit hard to see, but there's a temporary fence with some signage to let people know that there's plovers nearby. So it's normal to see plovers in this general area. It's really important for us to be careful when we're around this area because they're not always inside that fence, right? So let's see if we can take a look at the plovers. If you look closely, you can see the well-camouflaged plovers ahead. They become a bit easier to spot when they start moving around. Let's take a closer look using the spotting scope. So what Keith and Ryan are doing right now is trying to identify the bands on a juvenile plover, and they're really cryptic and pretty hard to see, so it's proving to be a bit difficult, but this is the reality of plover monitoring. Success! We found orange, red, yellow, red. You can see him scurrying across the field of view here. Here you can see the PPA, or Plover Protection Area. You'll notice that there are barely any footprints in the sand inside the PPA, which means people are doing their part to protect plovers by staying and keeping their pets out of this area. If you're visiting Humboldt Lagoon State Park, remember this place is the home for our snowy plovers, and we want to do our part to keep their populations alive and thriving. So definitely keep your eyes open for plover protection areas, and if you're lucky, you might even get to see plovers yourself. All right, everybody, Keith and Ryan are gonna head on down the spit to complete their survey. It's about a 5-mile hike on the beach, surveying for plovers. So I hope you enjoyed this video and this fun view at what our environmental services intern Ryan is up to and what our wildlife biologist Keith does for his work. So it was really awesome to get to see plovers and to get to see the legendary orange, red, yellow, red. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and share. And of course, we do these videos every day at 3 o'clock, so be sure to tune in to hear from a different interpreter about what's going on in their park. And of course, as you all know, in the age of COVID-19, we're doing our part to keep ourselves and our community safe by sanitizing our equipment that is shared and, you know, wearing our masks and using good physical distancing. So I'm really grateful to be out in the field today and to have had the opportunity to bring all of you with me. So be sure to ask any questions in the comments and we'll do our best to answer. See you next week. Bye.